What's up, everyone? This is Mrradillo back with another episode of Mrradillo's World. I am back with my bro, Spencer. And is it? And let me. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Stutterfield? Is that how you say it?
Sutterfield.
Stutter
Sutterfield.
Sutterfield.
SU.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I didn't put.
Yeah.
I put the stu. I put the stu. So,
Yeah,
bro, how are
exactly.
you? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I just want to say they announced my name like that over the intercom in third grade, and I've never been the same since. So thanks
Because
for bringing that back up.
oh, dude, I didn't know that was a bad memory.
That's
Stutter,
okay.
and what's funny is I even stuttered while I said it. If you didn't
It's
catch that,
Spencer Stutterfield. That's what. At least I didn't have a stutter growing up, or else I would have got
you
that
know what?
more. But
I knew it was Sutterfield, but then I threw the T in there for some reason.
that's
Like
okay. That's okay.
it just came out. It just came out, bro.
Butterfield, whatever.
Butterfield, that one's kind of a little mean. I think I don't know.
People say that sometimes.
Do they really?
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't
You
get
want to
it.
you want to know what's funny is I've been called an Anthony a lot. Um,
Yeah. You
maybe I
probably
look
get
like an
the
Anthony.
Radillo a lot.
Radillo,
Radillo.
Armadillo. Yeah, that one gets really weird.
Yeah.
Also, some people really call me Daniel sometimes.
Okay.
That one's
Okay.
odd. I'm like
Yeah.
not even close.
Biblical names, I guess.
Maybe that's what it is. They just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Anyways, how are you? How's your day going?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's been a good day. Just ate some dinner.
Nice.
Attempted to put the baby down for a nap earlier. Didn't go well for
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
but
right, right.
mom did it, so it
Okay,
works
all
for
right.
her.
So you just had a baby, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
this year, she's not even
She
one
is
yet.
5 months. Yeah.
Wow. But how
Yeah.
how does that feel? We'll jump into because what I really want to do in this podcast, so I want to dive into your testimony.
Okay.
I want to talk about youth, how that's going
Yeah.
specifically, and then I want to talk about like what's on your heart. But before
Yeah.
that, how is being a dad,
Dude, it's great. You're
dude?
you're you're in for a treat.
I'm really excited about it. Like
Yeah.
we are working. I just painted the room
Oh,
last
nice.
last weekend. We're waiting for furniture to come in.
Okay.
Um, it may be a little bit later than right when we have the baby, but like we ordered it.
That works. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. When's well, first I'll just say it's great. It's
yeah,
great. Um, we'll probably relate to what's been on my heart because I've just been learning, whatever season you're in, I think you're learning
yeah,
about that. So I've just been listening to dad stuff and parenting stuff. And obviously you have a long ways to go before you start doing a lot of that stuff when you have a
sure,
newborn.
right.
But I love it. It's exciting. Definitely a new season of life. But y'all are in for a treat. So
I,
it's gonna be
I'm
cool.
I'm really pumped about it. So, do you feel like you're an expert at being a parent now? Like you can
No, absolutely not.
you can give all the advice in the world. Is
Although
that?
I was changing a diaper in public. I think it was today, and somebody commented that I looked like a pro. So I was like, "Hey,
Ooh, you're killing it, bro.
that's an accomplishment right there." So no, it's good. When's Theodore due?
Theodore is due December 31st is the official
Okay.
date.
Oh yeah, dude, that's crazy.
I know. We'll see if he comes in earlier or after. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? We're hoping for that
yeah,
tax break. That's the whole reason we're having him.
yeah, yeah,
Well, no, no. But we're really excited. We're pumped and we're nervous, obviously, because
yeah,
we don't know what to expect.
yeah, yeah. It's there is no instructions, but luckily we have community, have the word of God, and we do our best. So
We just try, right? We give that
it
effort.
works out. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the
Okay.
beginning, you're definitely like feeling him like, are you breathing? Are you breathing? Like every couple of seconds, and then eventually you're like, let him cry.
Have you been
So
able to like get into a sleep routine, or are
oh
you
yeah,
guys okay? So that's
yeah.
pretty solid.
That's solid now. So
Was it
she's
ever
sleeping.
a point to where it's like it was you were stressing out about that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean the first couple of months,
Yeah,
they
it's an
got to eat
adjustment,
every few hours, but
right?
once we hit like 3 months or something, we kind of were like, we're gonna sleep train her, and so she was ready. She was ready to sleep through the night.
Oh,
So
okay,
it
okay,
was
that's
weird though.
good.
It's like she went from like waking up every 3 to 4 hours to sleeping like 10 or 11 in a row. So it's kind of like I don't really
Wow.
know how they make that jump, but it
How did you
happens.
sleep
So
trainer? Like what did you do?
it's kind of like I don't know. You don't want this to be a baby podcast,
Yeah,
but
whatever, dude. Like we're going through the stage of
it's
life.
that's true. It's like so at some point, you don't want to like let them cry because that's their only way to like tell you they need something.
Yeah,
But when they get a few months, you're like their stomach grows, they don't need to eat every few hours.
sure.
And so different people have different methods. But there's one method, I don't remember what it's called, but it's kind of like if they wake up and cry, you set a 5 minute timer. You go comfort them after 5 minutes. If they wake
Okay.
back up, you do 10 minutes and then you do 15. And so usually when we would do that, it was like 2 nights. And when we got to the 15-minute timer, she would fall asleep on her own. And
Oh,
then after that,
really?
she kind of stopped waking up. Yeah. So
That's
it
kind of
probably doesn't
sweet.
work out. It probably doesn't work out like that for everybody, but
The Lord
for
just gave
us,
you guys
that's how it
grace.
went.
That's what it was. The Lord
That's
was
how it
just
went. Yeah,
like,
'cause
yeah.
she wasn't doing great before that, but once we did that for a couple nights, now it's like she's goes down at 7:30 ish and wakes up at
Wow, that's
a.m.
amazing, man. That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so it'll usually is around 11 hours that she's asleep. So but she'll wake
Okay.
up. She might wake up a little earlier than 7, but
Got you,
so
got
it's
you.
pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
That is sweet. Like that's something to look forward to. So let's
Yeah.
dive into Spencer. Like,
Okay.
tell me your testimony. I really want to dive into that. You share whatever you want to share. We're recording, so we can edit this if you need to edit anything. So just let me know.
Oh
I let
man.
you take the floor, my brother.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. My name is Spencer Sutterfield. We live in Arkansas, and I was raised in Central Arkansas. So born in Greenbrier or born in Conway, and my parents. So like my mom. My story's a lot of credit to my parents.
Yeah.
I have like a one of those really a good life. Thanks to my
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
parents,
Yeah,
and
that's amazing.
and I learned, when you grow up like a church kid, you're like, I don't have a testimony, or you compare your stories to the
I know,
crazy
right?
stories you hear. But I've learned that, like, dude, especially parents, like young parents, they love hearing people's stories, sort of like mine, to where it's because that's what they want for their kids.
100%.
So anyway, my mom was Catholic. My dad was
Really?
yeah, my dad was kind of like non-denom Pentecostal-ish.
Hmm.
And so when they went to get married, neither of them were like super living for the Lord at the time,
I got you.
but they kind of knew, hey, we need to be on the same page. And my mom felt like she heard from the Lord that was like, go with my dad. So she kind of left her family and left the Catholic Church, what she knew, and followed me. And so they had me. And then I have a sister that's 2 years younger than me. And they kind of like in our early years, they really got their faith serious.
Right.
And so they kind of they started going to New Life, I think, when I was like 3. So the church
Wow.
had been planted just a couple of years before. So I don't know anything other than the New Life Church.
Oh, that's crazy.
Um,
I didn't realize that like you guys have
yeah,
only been in New Life.
yeah. So they raised me up. Great parents. My dad was a fireman. My mom's a teacher. So kind of like
Yeah.
normal people. And I remember, I was probably young, just growing up kids church, just getting saved every week,
Yeah,
raising my hand,
right.
looking for something to feel different.
Sure.
And I guess kind of whenever I went into middle school, I think life got a little bit harder. Like I got kind of shy, and so when I was in those transition years, I was just like any kid. I didn't know exactly who I was.
Yeah.
Kind of looking for a way to fit in. My main kind of problem ended up being just the lust, the sexual
Right.
temptation, the pornography that
Right.
young guys deal with. So I got introduced to that. Probably, I think I was probably 13.
That's crazy
Um,
because like
got the
that seems like it's a really common thing because at
Oh
13,
yeah,
that's when I was introduced to it as well.
yeah, and it might have been a little bit like it's a little hazy. It might have been
Yeah.
younger than that. Whenever whatever you mean by introduced to it. But I know at 13, I was gifted an iPhone, and it was like,
Bro.
that was
Yeah.
bad. That was bad
Yeah,
for me.
right, right,
That was bad
right.
news.
Access to the world.
Right. The blessing was, man, what's cool was that same year I kind of developed a friendship with a guy who's still my best friend. He
Mhm.
lives in Tennessee. Um, but we took this camping trip with my parents, and somehow him and I end up we're at the Buffalo River, and just talking. And it was like a year kind of after that started to be a problem in my life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And somehow, I don't really know how the conversation, he doesn't remember either, but somehow we kind of confessed to each other that was going on. And
Yeah.
so it was like really from early on, it was like God's grace. I had accountability
That's awesome.
from, I only didn't have accountability for like a year, so that was
Right,
pretty
right.
cool. And really about my freshman year of high school, I would say my faith got serious. Um, I remember our church was doing a year in the Bible. Like that was kind of the theme,
Hmm.
was just the 1 year Bible plan. And I like did it, and it was like, well, wow, getting the word changed my life, like what wouldn't you know it?
Right, right,
So I think early on, God just, man, started developing me. I still was dealing with lust and those problems. And,
right.
and I kind of I was one of those guys in junior high and high school that just had a relationship always going on, so it was like,
Okay, okay.
I think
I
I
got
was
you.
using girls to kind of fill a void in my life.
What do you feel? And obviously, you don't have to answer if you don't want to. But what do you feel that
Yeah,
that void was? Was it just strictly not having enough Jesus, or what do you feel?
dude, it's honestly a tough question because I don't have
Yeah,
like a huge tragedy to look back on. I think some people's
right.
story, it's like, okay, this is this thing, but to me, dude, I learned as I grew up, like I had this desire to impress people,
Mm,
and a lot of people gave me encouragement, whether that was in ministry or in sports. And then I had seasons where I didn't have that,
right.
and those seasons where I didn't have that, it was like I would go back to this lust problem. But
Interesting.
when I got this affirmation, it was like there were seasons where I didn't have a lust problem at all, like half a year, whatever.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like freedom; it was like something else was filling my void.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm not sure. I do think it was somewhat of a like I wanted to please people. I was insecure, um, and I didn't really get that confidence from the Lord.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. No.
so I would say that's it. I don't know if something like caused.
Okay, I'm back. We got interrupted by some technical difficulties. I forgot where were you at? Like I know I broke up at some point, but we were talking
Yeah,
about like possibly nothing happened. There may have been a void
yeah,
there. But go ahead.
yeah. So I think I was answering your question just about what that void was.
Right.
Um, so that I kind of determined that I wanted to impress people and all that. So that was some kind of
Yeah.
void that I don't know where that came from, but that was through some reflection. I think in college that I had. Anyway, so
I got you. Okay.
I think it's
Okay.
still something I work on. I was like, what's that void? And
I think
even
that's
if I,
fair.
yeah,
It's
I
probably
think
like a
that's just an
human,
ongoing thing.
yeah. I think that's a human nature type thing, right? Like we all
Yeah,
probably have this like disconnect from the Lord that we're trying to continuously like make
sure.
connected, right?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I mean, I would agree, and that's kind of the spiritual formation sanctification journey is kind of being made whole. If the
Yeah,
deepest part of us is made new from the Holy Spirit, then
right.
it's kind of like the rest of us aligning with that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
So
I love I listened to your last episode too, man.
which
I
one?
love just hearing you
The
be
sanctification one?
yeah, and I love just hearing you be vulnerable on that, and I think I've gone through similar things this year, like having our first kid. It kind of makes you be like, okay, I got to like do my part. You know what I mean? I
Right.
don't want to hand anything to them.
Well, no,
They're
I
gonna
think
deal with
that
their own problems, but I
speaks
don't want to be my problems.
100%. I think that speaks to your testimony too. Like you want to be like your parents were and raise your
Yeah,
kids right, right? You want to do the right things.
yeah,
And so I'm like examining every part of me, and I'm sure you have been too. It's like anything
yeah,
that's not pleasing to you, like take it
yeah,
away. You know what I mean?
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Um, so I totally agree, and this has been a year of like working, work on myself, letting the Lord work on me. And
What's been the
I
biggest
hear,
challenge from like I know we kind of got interrupted in your testimony, but what's
yeah,
been your like biggest challenge you feel like? I know you had set this impressing of people, but
hmm
will that be your biggest challenge you feel like? This kind of like
just in
performance
life.
aspect? Yeah,
Yeah, probably, because normally, like service level, I'll be like, oh yeah, my main battle was with lust,
right.
but it's like it's always deeper than that. I think at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, some version and that kind of goes with I can keep telling my story maybe, and it'll make
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
that plays out more, I guess, because I was gonna get into
You got
that
it.
when
You
I was
got
answering your
you're
question,
the
but
floor, bro. You're the floor.
no. So at some point in there, I kind of like was one of those kids that hit my growth spurt, uh, like the summer between like sixth and seventh grade or something.
Uh-huh.
So it got to the point where it was like they all caught up with me, but I was like taller and bigger, and so I got
Okay.
better at
Okay.
sports. I was
Yeah,
like for like a year, I was better
yeah,
than all the
yeah.
rest of the kids. Um, so I kind of like, I think learned early on that I could sort of get that affirmation through athletics and stuff.
Yeah.
And
What'd
so
you
that
play?
was always I played football and baseball.
Okay. What
I
position?
played basketball back then, but
What position in football? What position in baseball?
so I was like a running back and a linebacker, middle linebacker.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
and I played a year of college football, so that was kind of what I ended up sticking with more.
Got you.
And then I played kind of whatever in baseball. It just depended on
Were you pitching
if I
or were
was
you
good that
fielding?
year.
Oh, okay. If you were
Yeah,
good that
I mean,
year.
younger on, I was like playing whatever, but I definitely became more of a pitcher,
Got
and
you.
then sort of some like I just plugged in wherever, left,
I got you.
left field, center, third base, whatever. So,
So you played
um,
football at OBU? Is that where you went to college?
yeah. I
Okay. Okay.
went there to play football. Ended up quitting after the first year. I was I was just hurt. I was banged up and I couldn't get better. So it just didn't make sense for me to keep going anymore. So that was a hard decision, but and that was a good refining time for me because now all of a sudden I had that crux that was part of my identity removed, and
That's what I was
um,
going to ask. Like, do you felt
yeah,
like being an
absolutely,
athlete was you kind of thing?
sort of. At least I knew other people felt that way about me. I always
Yeah.
felt like I had more than that,
Yeah.
but it definitely you don't really know that till you go through it in a
Yeah.
sense. Like it wasn't until it got pulled out of me, out from under me that it was like, okay, yeah, there's definitely some emptiness I'm feeling now,
I got
from
you.
that. So that's part of it, and then the other part through high school was ministry, um, which is kind of funny. Like it became a crux for me, and I'm glad I learned that before I went into full time ministry.
Right.
But so long story short, we grew up going to New Life Conway, but we actually lived like 30 minutes away or whatever, kind of the next town over. And when I was in high school, they were like, "Hey, we're going to plant a New Life campus in your hometown." And so it was like, well, "This is great. This is great." And
Yeah.
at that time, I remember my dad and I had lunch, and he was kind of being a part of the church plant. And dad was like, "Hey, we're not going to have any like pastor or official leader over this middle school ministry. We just want like you and some other high schoolers to come along and like teach." And
Hmm.
so it was kind of this open door for some like early on just volunteering, leading, and
Yeah.
in ministry. And I remember I got this feeling in my stomach. It's like, what, me, like what, you kind of get that feeling.
Yeah.
And I had this moment, and I tell the story a lot, but I had this moment where I was like, anytime I get that feeling where I'm like nervous and it's about ministry, I'm just gonna say yes. And so it kind of, if I've done anything right, it's like I've done a lot wrong, but if I've done anything right, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of like just deciding to say yes, when God was going to open a door.
Yeah.
And so that just kind of kept unfolding throughout high school, and I started to feel really drawn to ministry, and had a great relationship with my senior pastor, my youth pastor, kind of new church, led small group of junior high boys when I was in high school,
Right.
all that stuff. Got to preach, go on mission trips, whatever. Some guys had some just like spoke that over me. And kind of the coolest part of the story was I was really wrestling with that because I was like, God, and you might have a
Yeah.
similar story. It's like, God, do you want me to do this? Like, you know, it was like he probably told me 5 times already yes, but it was like I needed more. I'm like Gideon or
Yeah,
whatever,
right,
the
right.
fleece.
Do you
And so
still
I
feel
was,
that? Like, because I know at my time myself, I'm not currently in ministry, but sometimes I still
yeah,
feel that like, well, I don't know. I don't know if that's where God specifically wants me. You know what I mean? Do you feel that at all?
oh yeah, yeah, all
Okay,
the time,
okay.
all the time. What's cool is well, so this time in high school it was like I was walking in front of a Target, and this random guy on the street just stopped me,
Hmm.
and he like asked something about my shirt, and he was like, he just started kind of prophesying over me, to use that word lightly, but just kind of like telling me, just encouraging me, hey, I see all these people that you're going to impact, all this
Yeah,
stuff. And it was like, dude, I just lost it because I feel like I had been fighting that, and at that point I was kind of, and I didn't know what it was. I think I was 16, but it was like, all right, God, whatever you're going to call me to do, I'm going to say yes. That was
yeah,
kind of like I'm done running. And so the cool part was into college, I kind of did some part time stuff here at our church now, and then uh, I got offered full time, but that was when COVID hit. So it was like
I
kind of
got
in
you.
my story. It wasn't really until COVID. So what happened was when I lost football, I just kind of did ministry more, and it was like I was
I got you.
busy. So I was just kind of like putting a band-aid on it, of my
Uh-huh.
identity. And but when COVID hit, it was like I'm supposed to go into ministry. I had two ministry meetings set up that were potential jobs, and it was like I had this other thing. So I had this like job opportunities where I'm going to get to walk into my calling. I'm graduating college,
Yeah.
and then it was like COVID like took them away.
Mm.
And so I say all that to say, it wasn't until 2 years later, and I actually said no to the job I'm in first for the youth pastor role at our church, until it was like a very specific event where I knew God called me this place this time. And so what's cool is now in the season I do wrestle with it a lot, and sometimes I'm just like, you know, does God want me to be in full time ministry, or am I just stirred up to do stuff for Him?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But what's cool is I had this event that was like it was kind of like another golden fleece moment. It was like someone spoke that over me, and it was like the timing was nothing but God.
yeah.
So it was like I really can't doubt that I'm where I'm supposed to be
Right, right.
because of this experience, and not to base it on experience. It was like backed up by the rest of my life
No,
and,
right,
and
right.
God's word leading up to that. But it was like when I start to doubt, I have this because I didn't say yes like half confidently, it was like I didn't say yes till I was like,
Ready.
I know, I
I
know.
got you. I got you.
And so to me, that helps me be secure to where when it's not easy, I can't leave.
That's
Um,
good. That's good. Do you feel like that? Like I know when we were in it, like and what I didn't realize before I got into ministry, because I always
yeah,
served in youth, right? And it was a youth
yeah,
leader, but was never like officially the person or whatever. But there's a
hmm
weight that you don't realize that
yeah,
ministers have on them.
mm
And once I felt that, I was like, whoa, this is a
mm,
lot. Like, do you feel that?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I try not to romanticize it too much,
right,
because I do think we do some harm on that sometimes in our church culture. Just be like,
right.
ministry, like, because it's really, we're all in, whatever.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
And then you can romanticize it, but I do think, because I stepped in this when I was 22, and I really had like a year or two
Yeah.
of like I probably didn't feel that way. Um, but then I think more recently, it's like just getting more into people's, real pain, and pastoring them through real stuff. Um, makes me feel that way a little bit
Yeah,
more.
yeah,
Makes
yeah.
me feel that
I feel you.
responsibility a little bit more. So
No, I like the. It seems like you have a really good head, like because even you're not wanting to romanticize, like that's just a really
yeah,
wise response. So like that's really
yeah,
awesome, man. Like, how's the youth? How's that
yeah,
going?
man, it's going well. When we took over, it was just like a really small, kind of like a small group. And there was more kids in our church. They were just still kind of hadn't come back since COVID.
Right.
Uh, but right now it's going well. I might have told you this, but like last year we had a student pass away, and it was like just such a pivotal
Yeah.
time. And it's been, I guess, a year and a couple months since then. But it was like we kind of had a group that um, was like a group of students, and then after that, it was like we kind of just exploded and brought in a lot of lost students.
Hmm.
And so we're still kind of in that season where we just grown a lot numerically, and it's like new students every week,
Right.
and it's a challenge, man, because it's like as a pastor, you kind of want to like everybody's bent one way or the other. Some people are more evangelistic, some
Right.
people more discipleship, and I'm more like, dude, for real discipleship. Let's go deep. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
easier
Yeah.
for me to do. But it's like right now our youth is kind of the opposite of that. It's kind of like, dude, there's just a bunch of new students every week who are probably lost.
Right.
And so every Wednesday I can't just be
Going deep
taking the
into,
but
yeah,
yeah, right. But
diving
what do you
into the
do with the
Trinity over and over again. You know what
right?
I
Yeah. Talking about eschatology tonight, kid. No. But like what do
mean?
you do with the core students that are there who are
Right.
they need more than that.
Right.
They're moving past the milk.
So how
So
do you find that, like how do you balance that challenge? Like of and I
yeah,
think that's just a common church challenge because there's
it
always going to be
is.
new, there's always going to be core. Like how do
It
how do you
is.
how do you deal with that?
I think the cool thing about a Wednesday night is in a youth group is like we have flexibility
Yeah.
biblically to me. We're not the church. There's no youth group in the Bible. There's no youth pastor in the Bible.
Right.
So I think we're a little bit more flexible than the Sunday morning, gathering of building up the saints and to worship God.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Obviously, there's still a lot of lost people there, but it's primarily for believers. Like we're coming together.
Right.
So I feel like Wednesday night could be a little bit different. So, dude, we've done something different every semester. To be honest, I mean, we try to have something going in kind of the off times, and I want something going all the time of like a more like an internship, like a second meeting for the core students who want to go to, and maybe more like a Bible study or a book study, something going deeper. But still, what I've kind of done this semester is like it's almost like half of our weeks are more of like we're teaching through spiritual disciplines,
Okay.
and
Okay.
that's more deep. But then the other half is more like service nights where we might have a guest speaker. We'll definitely do a gospel presentation more heavy, and we'll have worship. So it's kind of like we almost just split our weeks on who it's
Hmm.
geared toward.
That's
So it's
interesting.
I mean,
Well,
it's probably the most simple thing you can do, but
Hey,
it's going
hey,
well.
you guys are
So
going, right? Like I
yeah,
feel like sometimes with youth, a lot of it's just like surviving sometimes. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah. Yeah.
because you think you, at least for me, because we started in like right before COVID with youth pastors,
Yeah.
and then 22 the summer, that's when we kind of left it. But
You're definitely surviving.
right, we were like we did a whole
Yeah.
youth camp during COVID, and it was
Come
just
on.
us planning that, right? So we were like, I
Yeah.
don't know if this is good or not,
Yeah.
because most of the time when I felt like I did the best, no kids any responded, and when I feel like I
Mm.
always did the
Yeah.
worst in speaking or
Yeah.
something, it feels like that's where they got the most out of it.
Dude, for real. And it's I don't know. I've come to the conviction of just be faithful, you know. And I think with youth, man, it's like it just takes time.
Yeah,
And I don't know if you've seen those stats, but it's like the average youth pastor, you know, stays in a job like less than a year or something.
yeah, dude.
So to me, it's like it really takes I feel like 3 years to really start seeing some of the fruit of just a ministry growing, you
Right,
know. I mean, you
right.
can have obviously a lot of more one-on-one small group discipleship, but to see kind of a ministry and culture shape, I think it just takes time. And, you know,
Yeah,
Hot Springs is, you know, there's a lot of school districts here. So that's another challenge compared to like small town Arkansas or something.
right,
Um, so that's new for me to where it's like having to get into those schools and be known to those students and you know,
right.
build relationships with
What
them.
do you do? Like do you do like I know probably Fields of Faith probably are you probably involved in
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, man.
Um
FCA is definitely the biggest door,
okay.
you know, into the schools right now. And that's who Fields of Faith and all that's through. So,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, they're it's huge down here. So, like, I mean, there's multiple FCA groups meeting at every school every week.
Oh
So
wow.
they kind of pull from youth pastors in the city to come speak, and so that's definitely a good tool to come in. Some schools like Lake Hamilton recently just kind of opened up their cafeteria on Tuesdays and Thursdays and invited us, hey, if you want to come in here, come.
Really? Really?
Yeah. So it's like I've been up there one time, and that was a couple weeks ago. I need to go back, but so yeah, it's you know still mostly church friendly
Yeah.
schools here. You know, it's probably different in other parts of the country, but
Yeah,
um,
it was.
so that's about it's probably different in California. You know.
It certainly was. But I mean, but we were
Yeah.
it was also COVID at the time too, so
Yeah.
they were very serious about COVID in California.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it
Yeah.
was different.
You were dealing with different stuff than we're dealing with here. You
Right,
know.
right. But
So.
that's what it is, you know. So that's
Hmm.
cool. So you get to go in there and talk to
Yeah.
them. Um, do you
And
have like go ahead.
one thing I was just gonna add. Sorry to interrupt you. I know I'm
You're
probably
good. You're
interrupting you a lot.
you're good, bro.
To me, and you might have this experience, but like one of the one of the best I think advice someone told me a long time ago was kind of just like making sure that you can come into alignment with you like your senior pastor's vision and conviction for kind of why you're there, you know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a funny story, but the first month or two that I was the youth pastor, Pastor Corey had me and a couple of people read this book, Family Shepherds by Vodi Bakum. I don't know if you do you know Vodi.
I know Vody. Yeah, he
Rest in
just passed.
peace.
Yeah,
I know,
RIP.
man.
Yeah.
He's a legend. But we read this book, and you know, he's like Reformed
Yeah.
Baptist or whatever, and they don't, you know, they're like no, you know, it's everyone worships together every service, so
Yeah.
it's like no youth group, no kids classes,
That's
and that
interesting.
was mostly his argument. It was like, you know, it's family discipleship and all that stuff. So it's a good book, by the way. You should pick it up
Okay.
for being a
Okay.
dad.
Okay, I'll
Just
check
kind
it
of
out.
like leading your family. Oh yeah, dude, great book. But it was funny because it was like, here I am, my senior pastor hands me this book. It's like, hey, there should be no youth pastor, and he's like, um, you know, kind of like, why should we have a youth group? And it's funny because he's not going to get rid of the youth group. I know that.
Right.
Like, it wasn't like my job's on the line, but it was like we do still affirm that's like the parents' primary role to disciple their kids.
100%.
And so that's our church's heart, like even more than probably the average megachurch vibe, you
Yeah.
know, church. And so one of the things I'm constantly trying to do, which is like this doesn't happen in the normal model of just like youth on Wednesday night, you know,
Right.
is like how can I get involved with families? How can I help come alongside parents who are bringing up their kids? You know, how can I equip those who aren't bringing up their kids in
That's
the way?
awesome. That's a good
Or if a
perspective.
student comes in who their parents don't go to our church, you know, that's a goal is for them to start getting plugged into a church as a family, you know. So that's one thing I've always had my context on. I was really uncomfortable with parents early on, but I'm, you know, slowly
Yeah.
getting there, and it helps to become a parent yourself. Uh, but I don't know. Did you have did you guys have anything specific like that? You feel like with your senior pastor, like when you're a youth pastor, that
Not really.
you feel
Like
like was his vision that you wanted to come alongside?
somewhat, not necessarily. Like he really put a lot of trust in us, and we were
Yeah,
thankful for that. But he kind of
yeah,
just kind of and we went through a transition with our
mm.
pastor. So he had just come in, and he was there for less than a year before we became the youth pastors.
So it's kind of a unique situation in a
Exactly.
sense.
So he
Yeah,
was trying to
yeah,
and he's still trying to, like, they've been there for like 6, 7, maybe 5, like 6 years now.
yeah,
So they're doing great. And the
yeah.
church is growing, but it was a very much a learning time at
Mm.
that time. The church
Gotcha.
had just went through like a church split, you know what I mean?
Mm.
So there was just a lot of like change, and I think
Yeah,
he just let us, like, he trusted us to just
sure.
stay the course, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
that's what we kind of did. Is
yeah,
just we're consistent and
yeah.
just stayed the course so that he didn't have to necessarily worry about that while they were figuring everything out.
Worried about a lot of other stuff.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But I think with the new youth pastor, actually, funny enough, I talked to him on Monday. Two back-to-back podcasts for me.
Oh,
Like,
really?
I'm becoming a podcaster. You can, yeah.
Hey,
He
nice.
was the youth pastor after me, and so
Okay,
he's really like in that train of thought of with like on vision
nice.
with the pastor, and
Yeah,
and I think
yeah,
that's really great, and I think we help just establish that foundation kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
sometimes it just takes those years of building those foundations, and I think it's even wise to when you come into a place, just run the same play for a while.
Right.
Don't come in thinking, oh, we're gonna change everything.
Right,
So
right, right. And
yeah,
and dude, church is so interesting because we love church and
yeah,
people, but whenever people are involved, church just stuff happens. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because
Right,
we're imperfect people.
right. Absolutely. It's hard, but it's
It's worth it.
God's plan. It's God's plan for the world. So
100%, 100%. But like
yeah.
when you go through youth, how is it with like building the relationships? Do you find you have like easy with certain kids and then other kids you don't? Like how do you navigate that aspect?
Yeah. I mean, I think naturally there's kind of like naturally you click with people, some
Yeah.
people better than others, and that's okay. And one of my roles with kind of like as our group has grown is to just facilitate even more um our leaders' relationships
Yeah.
with students. So I kind of see that as I usually have a few guys that I'm, you know, probably like soft discipling. Like that's something I need to do a better job.
Right.
It's just like because honestly, man, over the past few years, that's one of the disappointing things is like there's been groups of guys that I've met with, weekly over time, and like, dude, those it's like I haven't had a good experience with that, and that's
Mhm.
kind of been a disappointment to be honest, because it's like a couple guys early on, dude, they just like I was, it didn't work. I don't know if they it's like they might have not been the guys,
I got you.
but I was
I
trying to
got you.
make them be the guys. And then after that, it was like, man, I had a couple guys and that have since just like moved. So it's been a couple weird things that it's like any guys that I've like really hammered home with, it's like it's not worked out well, and it's
Right.
kind of weird. And I haven't really reflected on that a ton. But I always have a few guys that I'm at least like encouraging, challenging, meeting with
Yeah.
occasionally in a semester. But then it's like a lot of times just trying to get our leaders equipped to do the same thing. And so they naturally find their pockets of like, okay, it's kind of this grade. So that's ultimately a big goal of mine. It's kind of trying to help facilitate
Yeah.
that. And that
How
to me
many
is even along
leaders
more the lines.
how many leaders do you guys have? Like
Right now, I think we just had two drop out today, actually. So,
oh, really?
I
That's
feel like we
sad.
have 13 or 14 right now.
Okay.
Um,
Okay,
and
that's a
we
solid
had,
group.
yeah, man, we had, 20, low 20s this spring. So it's kind of like we've lost a decent bit this year.
Yeah, you have.
Um, but sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's like, God's calling you somewhere else or it's time to take a break. But we definitely, we love our leaders. And honestly, my wife's passion is more leaders. Like, so I kind of try to let her turn her
That's
loose to
cool.
like love on leaders. And,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we have meetings at our house, hangouts, whatever. So, uh, that's a big part of our job. I think once you grow a group, it's kind of like being the pastor to facilitate and equip the saints to do the work of ministry
100%.
even. And
100%.
so it's cool to see that. So
That was one of my favorite parts is like building a
yeah.
team and how you guys do it. And it's because I've went through your process. Dude,
Hmm.
it's a crazy extensive process. So you have
Yeah.
some dedicated people.
You get to know people well.
Yeah, you
And
do.
yeah, they have to go through it. So one cool moment I had was like you took a live, which is, big conference,
Great.
kind of less intimate. And then we had this retreat, I don't know, a month ago or so, more intimate.
Yeah.
We had like a couple campuses there, 70, 80 students max, and we had probably 15 from our campus. And what was cool was the last session, I was like about to go up to MC, and I kind of look out, and it's like in this response moment, and I have a few leaders praying with students, our students, and then I have a couple older students praying with some younger
Oh,
students.
that's
And
cool.
so it was like a fruitful moment to where it's like, okay, you don't always have to be the one doing everything, and in fact, you shouldn't be.
No,
And there's
right.
people better at you at
Yeah.
a lot of things. So it's
Right.
like just like getting out of the way, letting God work through other people and being there for when they need you. So that was a
100%.
cool moment. It was a cool moment for me.
100%. And I meant to say this, and I don't know why I'm saying this on the podcast, but if like I know we went through that thing. If you guys ever need extra hands, you just
Uh
reach out.
oh.
Yeah,
Uh
like
oh.
I'm being honest. Like you just
Yeah,
reach
thanks,
out.
bro.
Okay?
Appreciate it.
Because like I
How
know
about
like
the first week of January? How about that?
all right, sounds good. Sounds good. I don't know how that's gonna be with that, but you definitely
I'm just
have
messing
me
with you.
there.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I wanted to reach out to that because like we do love
appreciate it.
youth.
Yeah,
And obviously we're not in the season of ministry at the current moment,
yeah,
but we still have a heart for God and want to help however we can.
yeah.
So
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
100%. Yeah,
Thanks
for
for being
sure.
willing.
Yeah, for sure, bro. For sure. Um, what's been on your heart lately? Like I know it's probably been we kind of talked about it a little bit that refining process, but what
Yeah,
specifically?
yeah. I mean, really, since our daughter was born, I kind of, one part of my story was I'm just probably similar to you in a sense of I know you love learning and you love movies and probably like nerd out on a lot of things
Oh,
and I'm
sure.
actually similar and people don't know that about me. It's funny 'cause when like my sister would be like, Spencer, people have no idea how weird you are. Like, like I know, but for a while it was like sort of my rebellion was like going to college and getting really into like movies and
Right.
music and like rap.
Right.
And it was sort of my rebellion because it was like my convictions kind of went out the window, to be honest.
Sure.
And it held me back for a while. Um, and so recently, but I'm always like interested in something. It's something weird. I'm always like learning a ton about one random thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I feel like it's never been God though. And I
Mm,
know that sounds kind of funny, but I've never been like I'll read the Bible. I'll study it. I'll have my time with the Lord in the morning, whatever. But it's like I'm always been something else that I'm like really nerding out on.
yeah.
But this year it's been a blessing because since Joy was born and since I kind of started like, I really spent a month of just like, yeah, refining. But coming out of that, it's like what's been cool is I've just been interested in God, and
That's awesome.
I think you can use God to hide from God sometimes, where it's like maybe now I'll just listen to more podcasts and read more books than actually spend time with Him. So that's more my temptation now.
Right.
But I've just been interested, and so for a few months it was like spiritual formation and
Yeah.
uh, Dallas Willard, John Mark Comer, some of those guys that I just started nerding out on. That really made me want to teach spiritual disciplines this fall. So that's kind of where I got that from.
Yeah.
But a lot of that was just like, dude, just learning about how God changes a person, you know, uh, and how I can apply it to my own life 100%, but also
Right.
ministry. Like, how does God change a person? And what's our role in that? What's obviously mostly his role in that?
Right. Right.
Uh,
Those are good
and then
questions.
more, yeah. And so that, there's a lot there. More recently, I've kind of take, changed my view toward some theology and
What's been the bit? Okay, because I know you're right now. You're still in your Master's of Theology, correct? Or have you
yeah,
finished that?
I
What's going on
haven't
with that?
finished.
Okay. Okay.
So I kind of took a pause this semester
Well, you had a
uh,
baby. That makes
after the
sense.
baby. So I don't know what the future holds. I'm halfway through that master's, so I don't know where it's gonna go from here. But
Okay, okay. So what's
every
been a change with your theology? Because you kind of hinted at that, but what's been something? And you don't have to go too detailed if you don't want to.
no, dude, it's like weird. I think I've just spent a little bit of time learning from different, I guess, traditions, denominations, and it's weird. It's like all the reformed. Presbyterian bros out there, they're just like the loudest about theology, you know? And so
They
I've
certainly
just been
are.
lit. I've just been listening to those guys. And
Uh-huh.
my goal is honestly not like I'm not trying to start a revolution or leave my church. Or it's almost been like
Sure.
though, how can I
Yeah.
listen to them critique, big evangelical or mega church movement or
Right.
I mean these hardcore dudes, they critique their own guys like John Piper and Chandler, and they're critiquing the soft reform guys like those guys.
Right. Right.
So it's sort of just learning from them and listening to them critique our church, and some of it's just like learning from church history. And I've been so prideful. I've been like, because our church styles honestly just kind of reinvented church in the
Yeah.
last, I don't know, 30, 40 years. And so I feel like I've been prideful about like, man, all these other people they're just stuck in their religion and their ways. And,
Right.
but really they've thought through it all and they're doing what they think is biblical. And, I don't have a foundation on a lot of things theologically,
Right.
but
Right.
I should. And so
Sure.
I even, it's funny. I had some conversations just about lights and all the things we use in church, and ultimately being like, hey, we should just at least have a reason for why we do everything,
Right.
um, and that reason should be under like good biblical conviction. So that's really vague, but
No, I get you. Hey, honestly,
there's a
like
lot there.
speaking into that specifically, like one thing I
Yeah,
really like admired Connor, like a couple weeks ago, I think it was the lights just went out.
yeah.
You know what I
Power
mean?
have
In
power
the
went out.
middle
Yeah.
of speaking, and I was
Hmm.
like this is what it really is about. Is like
Yeah. Absolutely.
these are tools, right? They're
Yeah.
important because they help us do something better.
Yeah.
But and when it all boils down to it,
Yeah.
it's just us trying to dig into the word. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
had an acoustic guitar up there
Amazing.
afterwards, a little awkward, lights flashing all over the place, but it we just did it,
So
man.
here's my thing with that. Here's one of the main things I think I could focus in on. It's kind of like our church being kind of in the seeker sensitive,
Yeah,
um, gospel centered, is what some of these what guys would say, in the bad sense of like a lot of churches like ours, and our church is actually different. This is where Corey's heart's different, but
right,
kind of like every message is just make a beeline for the cross, and don't talk about anything else.
right,
As opposed to like all of Scripture for
right.
all of life's issues.
Sure.
Um, so I've kind of been wondering with, and some of the worship contexts is in that because I look out, and obviously we have people in our church who are genuinely engaged in worship,
Right,
but with our style of worship, it's easier to come and consume,
right,
right? Versus if you go to a more traditional church, that's like you got to learn a hymn or a psalm, and it's kind of a higher bar of entry. You know what I mean?
right. Well, it's
And
their
so,
reliance on the sacraments, right? That's kind
yeah,
of
and
their
it's a
level
higher
of
higher
worship, right?
church, higher
Yeah,
liturgy, obviously a higher view of sacraments.
yeah,
In our sacrament is the altar call.
right,
And it's kind of different. I use our church lightly. It's kind of like just our church movement, and we're definitely Corey's led us a little bit away from some of that movement
right,
and just the way we do church. But it's usually like the altar call, So it's kind of wrestling with like, well, you have the most holy moment of your service geared towards an unbeliever. Well, who's the Sunday gathering for?
right,
You know, not an unbeliever first,
right.
honestly. I mean, they're there and we can be aware that they're there. But first of all, it's the words of God. Second of all, it's to build up the believers,
No, you're right, man. Because if you really think about church history, like even to come to church, like if you wanted to become a Christian, they performed an exorcism before your
Yeah.
baptism. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it wasn't
Yeah.
like you could just come in. But
Or
if you
you
think
were
about
getting
it,
examined. You know what I mean? Like,
right? But if you think about the
yeah.
context, it's very different too because they were worshiping pagan gods. So
Hmm.
I think those do make
And it's true.
sense from their
Yeah.
aspect compared to us, where and now that may not always be the same, right? But I
Yeah.
think spontaneous baptisms can be a thing, and geared towards the
Hmm.
non-believer can be a thing because we
Yeah.
are blessed to be in a Christian nation as of now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. For the most part, sort of.
100 years when Muslims take over, we're not
Oh
in that, you
no. They're having more
know.
babies than us.
They really are, honestly. But no,
Muhammad, common name.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't even want
So
to touch that one.
yeah, I'm not afraid, bro. No, but like so I guess, like I said, my goal is on Star Revolution. Like I'm not under
Right,
different conviction than I was before, but it sort of made me wrestle with are is this backwards? Is this a backwards award system?
Right.
Like our is have we made the problem of cultural Christianity and lukewarmness?
I we
Has
could
our church movement contributed like heavily to that?
I
And
think
that's what's like
years
hard for me.
ago I would say yes, 100. But when I look at the also the statistics, the non-denominational model is the only church that is actually growing.
Mm,
Right? You can look at all these other and I'm not saying I like liturgy. I think it's beautiful
yeah, yeah,
and I want to adopt more of that into my life. But if you really are looking at the
yeah.
statistics, even Catholicism, mass droves of people are still leaving. And the only one that's
Really,
consistently growing, if you dive into the data,
yeah,
is the non-denominational church.
really,
So some God's doing something, and I don't, and I
yeah.
obviously you can go too far in one way, and we need to come back. You know what I mean, to the other way.
Right, right.
But it seems like God is still doing something with a non-denominational
Yeah,
church.
absolutely. I can agree with that. And one thing that's funny is I'm going to speak tomorrow to a group of just like men in our church. It's like a leadership
Yeah,
group, or I think might turn into like deacons. But I'm kind of talking about the next generation and stuff. So I was studying, some stats and stuff. And what's funny is like this was Gen Alpha actually. So it's like 2010-ish to now born in that time. So it's like young kids. And
crazy.
so they did a survey. It was like 11, 12, and 13-year-olds that are online. But the amount of like tarot cards, crystals, astrology, it was like 22% were like actively in that stuff, which
That's crazy.
is like a low number, but that's a really high number for being involved in that stuff to me.
Right,
And so the point they were making was like they are really like spiritually open.
right,
And it's funny because I think that's kind of why, like, yeah, our church that's a little more experience based or Pentecostalism, AG, like worldwide is the fastest growing denomination,
right, right.
and I think that sort of matches up with what young people are seeking.
I think they're
Um,
very like even just going to that collide. Like obviously it's a wide
yeah,
range of a bunch of different churches, but like I was
yeah,
thinking about it from my perspective when I was growing up, and it's just vast night and day. Like I felt
yeah,
like we were beat down to like
mm,
conform with our Christianity. Like we
yeah.
weren't trying to offend anyone. But it's
You're right,
what I'm
exactly.
gathering from what I just seen is like they're proud to be Christian. Like
Yeah,
and they're probably lacking some other things like we all do, but it seems like they're
yeah,
on fire. You know what I mean?
yeah. It seems like it, man. And there's a lot of cool stuff going on in the state, and that's a cool part of getting to be a part of a multi-site, I guess, church is just hearing wins and stuff from around the state. And like God's definitely on the move.
Right.
I'll say that. I'll say that. Um, I do, man, I think about this stuff a lot. Like I'm wrestling with a lot. And I guess one of the things is sort of how this kind of church movement a lot of times kind of comes alongside culture more than creates its own and goes against it.
Right.
Um, Now, obviously, we have core beliefs that are different, but I think sometimes we can also feel the negative effects of like people being so close to the worldly culture,
Right. Right.
and so sometimes I wonder, like, is this still? And I think it's a good point to encourage me that like, hey, God's moving big ways through this
Yeah.
movement still, because I'm
100%.
sometimes I guess it's good for me to doubt it so I can grow in my foundation and
100%.
even theology of it. Um,
I think
but
us as a
I am
church
thinking about
culture,
it more than ever.
yes. No, I think like
So
because I've just got it. I grew up just a little bit of my background. I grew up
yeah,
very conservative Pentecostal,
okay,
so we were called holiness. I don't know if you've heard of
yeah, yeah,
anything.
yeah, yeah,
Not like oneness holiness,
okay,
Trinitarian Pentecostal holiness. So we were a free
nice,
holiness church. So I grew up that my entire life up until college.
okay,
So that was like the demographic I grew up in. So I
yeah,
was very small church minded. And I had a
hmm
lot of that negative stereotypes to mega churches.
big church, yeah,
But then I dove into a thesis and I was really talking about growth. And when you focus solely on growth, that's when the problems occur. But
mm-hmm.
it made me refine a lot of the because there are things that a larger church can do better than a smaller church. And I'm
Sure,
not saying that like small churches do also have their place. Like,
Yeah.
I think we can coexist, but you also have to look at the numbers. Those small churches, a lot of them are closing their doors.
Yeah.
And right, it could be, you could say it's one or the other, but like I don't think you should be discouraged. Yes, we do also need to look at like our practices and really understand what we're
Yeah.
doing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we may not need to like have a concert every week. You know what I mean? That's okay.
Yeah.
Like, but it's okay to have it once in a while. It's okay to
Yeah. Or like,
have
oh wow, I
nice
mean,
things.
you saw how big
Right.
and
Right. It's
produced that
okay.
was. Yeah.
100%. But like I think if there's that's phrase in the Bible where it's talking about people are speaking the name of Jesus, but we don't know them kind of thing. I'm butchering it right now, right?
Yeah.
But regardless of their motivations, Jesus is still being preached,
Whoever's not against us
is for us, right?
is
So
with us.
that's the kind of model I think we need to
Yeah.
look at. Now, I do
Mm.
think we as evangelicals could be a little bit more liturgical
Yeah.
and not just
Yeah.
throw out
Dude,
communion, like
so it's
you know what
really
I'm saying?
funny. So like my school is like Pentecostal,
Yeah.
and I was raised in New Life, and it was kind of like some of that stuff.
Is New
We
Life
do
like a Baptist
we
base?
no, dude. I mean, we're like Baptist Presbycostal,
Like a mixture. I
but
got it.
we have like we'll affirm, hey, every
Yeah.
spiritual gift is active. Like we're not cessationalists, and we're more vocal about that than a Baptist church. And
Right.
I don't know where Baptists are with that, but so I mean, we're like more probably somewhere in the middle.
I got you.
Um, and if there's some more like deeper stuff that comes out in, but normally it's not like a Sunday morning.
Right. 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 Right.
Um, but for me, it was funny because I read this. I had to read this article that was like tongues, tongues as liturgy or something,
Sure.
and it was this whole like explanation of like basically glossolalia tongues being like comparing it with high liturgy, and I'm just like, I don't know why, but this just feels weird to me. Like
It's
I get what you're saying, but
right.
like it's so new that I'm just like, I
It's
don't
probably
know.
not the same thing. I would say
Yeah, yeah.
like
But if
speaking
I'm
in
wrong, do you know
tongues.
like is liturgy is that word almost like the work of the people, or like I feel like I've heard that. I don't know what that word literally means, but
So liturgy I think is basically the formal aspects of the church. So it's
yeah.
like
And
the what I don't know how you'd say the ritual portions.
sure. And I get that. I heard someone say that it was like, and maybe it was a more Latin thing or something. Some word in there they said means like the work of the people, of like, what
Interesting.
I guess it's like what we're doing. So in that sense, I'm like, you could probably apply that to
You
tongues or
probably
something,
could.
but
You probably could.
I didn't dive into it super deep.
Well,
But
because so we've been
yeah.
like I have a buddy. I don't know if you've ever met him. He went to OBU too, but you guys are probably different grades. His name is Chris Cook. You ever heard of him?
I I think I met him one time.
You may have. You
Is he
may
the one
have.
that's been on here
Yes.
with you
So
before?
yeah. So
Yeah,
he
I can know who you're talking
he's
about.
like
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
bro. We grew up and went to church together a lot.
Cool guy.
But he's a cool dude. We're gonna have him. We're actually talking about on Saturday. I'm doing another podcast. I'm just all over the place here, bro.
Come on, bro. You're
It's
grinding out
we're talking
content.
about who's God's chosen people. So I'm not trying to get too controversial, but I don't know. Anyways,
Time me in, bro. No, I'm
I
just kidding.
already have four, or I would tap you in, bro. I would tap you in.
Oh no, no,
Uh,
don't tap me, dude. Hey, that's I'm gonna be watching that. I'm
yeah,
gonna have to listen to that.
I'm because I definitely want to go with Grace because I'm not like an anti-Israel person, but also I'm
Yeah,
not like we got to buy wholesale everything Israel does. You know what I mean? Because they're still humans. You know what I mean?
I was just watching a video about that actually.
Really?
Yeah, the
What
funny
was
thing
a?
is, dude, it was just like why dispensationalism's wrong or something like that. So it was more of the Israel aspect,
I have a
but
flirting relationship with dispensationalists. I'm not a
yeah.
dispensationalist, but like I'm like, well, it could. You never know. Like I'm
And
not
so that's the journey I'm on right now. Is
right,
like there's these things that they're all around us. They're the
right,
undercurrents of our whole church movement. But I don't know. But I'm just now learning about them. So
right.
it's kind of like I didn't, and most people don't know that you just say a phrase, And like recently, I was at a funeral, and it's funny because what goes with that is end times, and
Yeah,
your view on the
sure,
millennium.
sure.
So it's like I'm wrestling with all this, and I'm singing this song at a funeral, and it's like so pre-mill,
Right.
rapture, and I'm just like, can I sing this song? I don't know what I think about it. Can I sing this song? It's so funny. Oh
100%,
man.
100%. Well, you know what I found?
Yeah.
I started realizing when you're talking about Israel, and this is just a side note that I've it really depends on how you view your eschatology. Like your eschatology
Yeah.
is what you think of Israel, honestly.
They all go hand in hand for
It
sure.
really is. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is why I've just never cared about it that much because I've just been
Yeah.
like, how am I supposed to know? You know, I kind of take
And
that
it,
approach. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the cool thing is like I've heard some of these guys say it's like, hey, in the old creeds and all these things and the Westminster or the like whatever the Baptist, it's like they don't have end times. Like it's not they don't take a stance on it because it's never been considered like churches haven't really split on eschatology yet.
Right, right,
Like they might, especially with all this Israel going on.
right, right,
But
right.
it is more of like a it's not clear, you know.
No,
And so we are not going to split on it, and I think that's wise for church to kind of decide that. But it is funny how we sort of have a view that we're just indoctrinated into
100%.
without really doing the work to get there. That's
That's
what
the
bothers
thing
me
is
a little bit.
we usually don't know what we believe.
Yeah.
Like we'll just throw out terms. You know what I
So
mean?
it's like we take a side, but we don't know why we're taking that side.
Yeah, right,
That's what I
right.
feel. And so I
Anyways,
feel, yeah, yeah.
go ahead. Sorry. I
No,
was
no,
talking about
but
what we got in a rabbit trail here, but I was talking
yeah.
about like my buddy Chris. We've
Oh
been
yeah.
really studying like Catholicism,
Okay.
like really just diving into like their beliefs and what they believe. And we
Mm-hmm.
actually had a Catholic minister on the podcast.
Dude, I gotta go
Yeah,
listen to that one.
you got to listen to that one. It's I forgot what his
Yeah.
name was, but we really dove in and we're like poking questions because we kind of had the philosophy that like we believe that there are Christian Catholics. Like I'm not like
Absolutely.
anti, like they're
Oh
gone.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that stance is kind of like arrogant to say that they are gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Like
your
like
theology doesn't save you, you know,
right, right.
or your
But
right
I
doctrine doesn't save you.
but we had some real like issues. But one of the things he's found is he has a beauty and love for the for communion now, the Eucharist. So
Mm,
he craves that, and not that like I don't like the Eucharist or anything. It's
yeah.
just like I'm not as into it as him. But I
Yeah.
think that's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing that we could bring back as evangelicals is that because I know we do it like once a month, but
Hmm.
like he's wanting to do it like every single service. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't argue why that would be bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. Right. I agree. That's one thing I wrestle with a lot is, and I haven't dove into it fully, so I feel like my view, if
Right.
I've looked into it, would only go higher, you know.
Right. Right.
Um, but then there's this side, like I heard someone say, it's like, honestly, and this is funny because it's like against all church history, but it's like, honestly, man, I think Jesus was just like eating, and he said, hey, this is my body, and I'm like, what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, I think every Christian would mostly disagree with you in history, but like, you can
probably.
think that,
No, but
you can think that,
that's a good take though. That's a good take. I
yeah.
enjoyed that
Uh,
take.
one 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 thing I wanted to mention is I'm actually going to Israel in like a little over a month.
Bro, that's sick.
Yeah, so
It's a
Pastor
church
Corey and
trip?
I, it's like so. What happened was, and this is going to be kind of funny because of what we're talking about and maybe where I'm leaning, but the government of Israel is bringing over 1,000 pastors um, for like
What?
a trip to kind of like raise support. So what's funny to me is I'm kind of like, because they sent us a whole book. It's like the history of Christian Zionism, and I'm kind of working through that. And it's funny because wherever you land biblically, like I think I have a really good practical reason to support Israel.
Right.
Like I would rather them have the Holy Land than the
Right.
Muslims.
I
You know what I mean? Like
to
for
be
lack of
frank,
better.
100% that's accurate.
Yeah. So
To be,
it's kind of like
I probably would want
wherever I.
Christians specifically, like to
Yeah.
control it even better because I feel like we would be better at it. But that's not to
Yeah.
say that's their land. They are promised
But
that
as
land.
far as like where we are right now in history, like I have a good reason to support Israel, even if it's not like, oh, I believe
One
they're
hundred
gonna
percent.
be, all saved or whatever he's in
Western
Romans 11 is talking
civilization,
about.
like they're the only ones that celebrate the Western civilization. Of
Yeah, yeah.
course,
So
we
like
want them. Yeah. Like I don't know
I'm
why that's
excited to
controversial. You know what I mean? I don't know
right,
why people freak out about that. It's like
right.
one people won't even let us go without charging us money or killing us. You know what I mean? Like why? What's the difference here? You know what
It shouldn't be controversial.
I mean?
But I think people are starting to look around and be like, okay, why have we always supported Israel, the government of Israel, so much? And there's these clips
Yeah.
of them doing things that seem really wrong, and you know what? So
Right.
it's just a lot of people wrestling with it, and ultimately it's good. Hopefully, it's pointing people to the word to develop some biblical convictions about it.
100%.
But I'm excited to go over there. Yeah,
Bro, I'm
support them.
so jealous of your
So
trip, and I hope you have a fabulous time. Like, cause like that's one of my goals. My wife is
yeah,
not into it. She doesn't want to go to Israel.
really.
She's scared, I think. I think there's fear there.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I'm like to see all the
Yeah.
sights. I mean, I'm excited.
To
So
walk where Jesus
it's gonna be
walked,
cool.
that seems awesome. Like I want to
Yeah,
do that. But no,
yeah,
that's cool. That's cool.
yeah,
So
yeah.
they're
So I'm
doing
excited
like
about
a
that.
pro, like that's interesting. So that they're going like really a bunch of like 1,000 pastors to come into the Holy Land. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and they even it was planned earlier this year, but it got rescheduled with I think some violence. And
Oh,
but yes, the first week of December, and it's like um, I think they wanted more like youth pastors, probably to raise support amongst the next generation. But
yeah.
um,
They're smart. They're
so I
smart.
was like, I applied and I got it. So I'm excited to
That's
go.
that's sweet, man.
So,
I'm happy for
yeah,
you.
yeah.
So we
My
kind of
my
went all over the place in this podcast. We're
yeah,
talking about Israel, but
yeah,
I'm gonna go hang out with my wife in a second.
yeah,
What are some final thoughts for you? I want to have you on again, and we can dive into some like deeper theological topics.
yeah.
But whenever you're wanting to come on, bro, you just let me know, and we'll
Okay,
chat it up about some type of theology.
yeah,
But give me some final thoughts you're feeling.
yeah, man. I think one thing is this is not related to my story at all. It's kind of the second half, but I guess I feel challenged to maybe help. First of all, start with myself, but also like I want to help people who are in our camp of church be more theologically grounded.
Right,
Um, man, because ever since that awareness goes off, I just think like I'm listening to things get thrown around that I'm just like, I can see how like humanism can creep in, or sort of like some false gospels kind of creep
right,
in, and that maybe like I said, maybe it's not a salvation issue, but I think it can just slow you down and how much you're going to be like honestly just your view of God,
right,
and how high do you view the Lord, and like to me that's a you know obviously you have to have some version of that to receive salvation, but maybe more so just like restoring Christians of a high view of God. Like let God be God.
yeah, yeah,
And it's just so subtle to me that's like I'm thinking of specific things, but if I wasn't, I might be like, yeah, everyone should think God's God. Uh, but I think I want to build, and that's why I'm coming on a more maybe a more passion for like teaching than maybe even being in full time ministry. Like maybe it is, and I know you have a passion for that as well. But maybe it's more like on the teaching side, and so
yeah.
I'm kind of praying that maybe that door can stay open in my life. Um, uh, so yeah, that's
Okay.
kind of one thing that's firing me up right now, and I guess the other thing is just the family stuff, man. And I was at Fields of Faith the other day. There's like 3,000 something students there, and I kind of had this thought that was like, man, this is not fully. I don't stand by the statement fully, but I had this thought of like, if all of these students had like just parents that were living it out and discipling their kids, we wouldn't need to be here. Like that was my thought. And it's true, obviously we should still gather and worship and it'd be great. But it was like we wouldn't necessarily need to be here. And so
100%.
that's what we need to I think focus on a lot in churches and is families. So
I think that's beautiful because church is a family. Like that's the whole point of it.
yeah,
It's multiple families. And and that's
yeah,
my soapbox. If parents would just be parents, like a lot of our problems in society would go away, to be frank. Right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
and if they followed Jesus even more, like we wouldn't have problems. We'd usher in
yeah,
Christ coming back. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
but anyways, no, that's awesome, man. I love this podcast. It's been awesome to
yeah,
just chit chat with you and dive into these topics. I really want to have you on again, and we'll actually
yeah.
pick a topic and like
That might help me because I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
we'll
okay,
dive into it. I'm sorry. No,
uh,
I just wanted to like get to know you more,
dude,
your
yeah,
story, and I wanted my 5 viewers to like get to know you as
Dude,
well. You
they're
know
out
what
there. They're out there.
I mean?
Dude, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the invite, and I love talking, and it's been
Yeah.
good. I know I didn't get to ask you much questions, but
Hey,
enjoying getting to know you this year.
yeah,
So
bro. Yeah,
yeah,
I've you've been a blessing, and I know we don't see each other often because you just had a baby too, and we're about to have a baby. But
it's crazy.
I've really enjoyed being at New Life,
Yeah,
and we really love our church, and we're excited to be
yeah,
here. Yeah,
yeah, bro. We're glad to have you.
yeah. Well, we love you. It's good to see you. This has been another episode of Mr. Adio's World. Adios, amigos.